aspects satellites can be used. Now in this session we'll go a step ahead of that and we'll be discussing satellite applications for smart governance. And for that we have the chair for our session, Shri Dharmendra Sir, IAS Chief Secretary Govt of Arunachal Pradesh. Sir, I would like to request you to please come up on the stage. The moderator for our session is Dr. Sultan Singh, Director, Haryana Space Applications Center. We'll also have a keynote address by Mr. Partha Pratim Ghosh, Presales Head India and South Asia Planet. So will you please join us? The speakers for our session include Dr. S.T. Jayanthi, Group Director, USAG, NRSC, ISRO. Professor Purvi Pokhariyal, Director, NFSU, MHA. And Ms. Niharikka Puri, Associate Director, PwC India. I request all of you to please come up and join us on the stage. So as all of us are pretty much aware here, satellites can play a key role in urban governance by providing data and information for urban planning and land use management, traffic management, as well as transportation planning. They also help us with environmental monitoring and management, emergency management, disaster response, and monitoring and tracking urban growth and development. Building upon this, our speakers will be going into the details of how satellites can be used for smart governance. And I would request Sultan Sir to please take it from here and begin the session.
Thank you. Voice is okay? Thank you. So, it is a great privilege to interact related to space technology, particularly smart governance. How can we monitor, how can we governance in multiple aspects. So, first of all, I welcome to all speakers. Sir, we have the very high-end experience related to governance. How can we use the smart technology, particular space technology in governance? Everybody has a lot of experience. We need to share that experience. How can we proceed and further? So first of all, I request Dharmendra sir to kindly just you apprise your experience and how can inspire your experience through this technology. So please just.
Thank you, Dr. Sultan Singh. I'm just on the dais. Dr. Jayanthi, Dr. Pokhariyal, Partha, Ghosh. The satellites have only covered a journey of about 65-66 years since the first launch of satellite in 1957. And that was a basic rudimentary satellite that was launched and lasted only for a couple of months. But since then it has developed so much that every aspect of life depends on something or the other, some data or the other which comes through the satellite or the help of satellite. We have now satellite which are monitoring the weather, we have satellite which are assisting in communication, we have satellite which are assisting in military technologies, some are unspecified, which we can't tell what exactly they do. But the technology has improved so much and developed so much that every aspect of governance, administration and life depends upon something or the other which comes from the satellite. The data which comes of the natural resources is very good for planning by the government for land use resources, water resources, disaster management, disaster planning. The data and the GIS that comes from the satellite is important for preparing the GIS maps, which are very beneficial and useful for government to plan developmental projects, infrastructure projects, the road layouts which are required in difficult areas and sensitive areas. The high resolution that has come up in satellite technology gives us photographs and pictures of areas which are very useful for developing plans for infrastructure and development in the urban areas, to track the traffic movement, to plan for traffic management in metropolitan cities, to have areas which are the hot zones or heat islands in the urban areas, and then plan for mitigating by planting of trees or creating open spaces in urban areas. It helps us by giving data with regard to the land resources management in urban areas, how we can monitor the properties, how we can monitor the slum, how we can monitor the areas which are having people migrated to, and how we can control those things to have a sustainable development in urban areas. So these are possible nowadays only because of the technology that comes, or the data that comes from the satellite. And most important is that all this data is real-time data, and which helps us making decisions and real-time decision making. Arunachal, like all other states, we have also created an agency called State Remote Sensing Satellite Application Center that is also creating GIS maps based on the soil topography, soil type, water resources, the water bodies, and these are all the used for planning effectively for the infrastructure that is needed by the state for the benefit of the people. And this goes a long way in ensuring the duties of the welfare state that it has to perform. We are also now, with the help of the satellite data, are able to ensure that the various government schemes that are being implemented are effectively implemented, and there are no leakages, and there is the benefit which is the person to whom it is directed. Schemes like Prime Minister Awas Yojana, the progress of the housing construction is geotagged and monitored with regard to the temporal data and temporal photograph that we take of the sites. Schemes like Prime Minister Sinchai Yojana, Ganga Mission, all these schemes nowadays invariably have a geotagging which gives us the real-time information which can be compared over a period of time to ensure that the progress takes place and the benefit reaches the targeted beneficiary. This was not there earlier because the satellite technology was not there. GIS maps are not there. And in this part of the world, we take internet as something which is given. But hilly areas like Arunachal Pradesh, where many places we don't have fiber optics. So in these areas, we depend upon the VSAT technology to have internet available there. And many cases where the 4G towers are installed, they don't have fiber optics, so they have to depend upon the VSAT for these mobile communications also. So again, it's a satellite technology. We have also mapped our 23 layers on the PM Gati Shakti, so that the various programs of infrastructure development are properly planned and there is no duplication, and there is the most optimal solution that comes out when we plan for the infrastructure project in a place like Arunachal Pradesh. And we have also created the GIS maps with real-time web linkages to monitor the utility performance in our areas of Tawan and Pasila, so that whenever there is any shortfall or deficiency in services, that is immediately pointed out, and there is a alert generated to ensure that the services are not available and needs to be repaired or needs to be corrected. So these are very things which are only possible because of the satellite technology which is available today. 20 years back it may not have been possible, but now it's all possible, and as we are progressing further, the government is adopting anything which can facilitate the life of the common citizen, which can make the government accountable to ensure the delivery of services to the common person. So these are things which is being made possible, and as the mobile technology improves, the backup data and the information which comes from the satellite data, the services will be even more efficient, services will be more prompt to the citizen of this country and everywhere else. And this is all because of the satellite technology, and this is what I call a smart governance. And you see more often in the urban areas, because the urban areas are infrastructure more endowed than the rural areas. They have better connectivity, they have better and more resourceful people in terms of per capita income, they have better budgetary available levels, the infrastructure of sewage, water supply, electricity, telecom, everything is more available here. But gradually this is being taken to the rural areas also. And that is how the urban smart governance or smart governance per se is reaching the common man and is reaching the society as a whole. And with this opening remarks, I will request our keynote speaker, Mr. Partha, to deliver his keynote address.
Thank you, sir. That we remain among the age of the 76 meter of the regulation. Now we are discussing 70 centimeter or 50 centimeter. So that's why we are discussing age on today the smart governance satellites. But now next stage is resolution is not a challenge. It may be a 10 centimeter or 30 centimeter or 30 any. Now is challenging is the delivery of the data. Frequency of the data, temporal data is required. So for that, change detection is more important. So government is required multiple way of the data delivery and their use cases. So I'll request to Partha, kindly you elaborate on that context, how the governance improve through temporal change detections and all things. Thank you. Yeah, sure.
Is on. Respected chairs, moderators, my fellow speakers, and all respected dignitaries, very good afternoon to all of you. I am Partha Ghosh, and I would like to give you some info about smart governance initiative using satellite imagery. So although the term smart is very qualitative term and very relative term, so I'm not going into that, what is smart and what is unsmart. But thing is that, as to me, smart means is the right solution in the right time, so that we can get ultimately we get the solution. So that's the smart, as I believe. So if we start with this quote from Albert Einstein, that is, you can't use an old map to explore a new world. Yes, it is always true, although this remark is long back, he has mentioned it, but till it is relevant, and it will be relevant all the time. So always we have to update the technology, our requirement will be changing, and accordingly we have to update, so that we can explore the new things, new governance, better informed decisions can be taken. So that is the approach, and that approach we should always use. Now currently, particularly if we come to the satellite application or remote sensing application, what are the major challenges or major requirements we are facing from the industry, from the space technology? First thing is requirement is that very high cadence data. For example, something happens today, and if I get the data after 5 days, 10 days, it is completely useless. I need the data today, I need the data today only. Something happens today, I need today only. So that's the kind of information is the requirement of the 2 days. At the same time, spatial resolution, that is how much clearly visible your imagery, how much clearly visible. So that is also very much important. So growth is also coming up. Technological upliftment, upgradation of the space technology is also coming up in this direction only. Now you are getting the imagery daily, and sometimes it is sub-daily also, multiple times in a day. You are getting the imagery higher resolution from 1 meter to 50 centimeter, now it is 30 centimeter. maybe if we are using the drone, in that case it may be 5 centimeter. That's the kind of resolution we are getting, and that is also very much required. Another thing is that is the spectral resolution. Spectral resolution means how many bands will be there in your imagery. So that is also very much important. More bands means more analytical capacity. Visual interpretation is one thing, but digital interpretation you need the more bands. And technical upliftment of the space technology is also going on this direction only, across the globe. It is not in India, across the globe is the things. At the same time, efficient delivery. For example, imagery is captured today, I did the imagery today. Imagery should come to my hand today only. If I get the imagery after 5 days, although it is captured today, it is also again useless. And open platform, so that is also very much important. Open platform means it will be accessible and actionable all the time. So that's the kind of open platform is also very much important at this point of time. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. That is, I was very much involved particularly here, and I can see when Dr. Rao is sitting here, and this is the ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. So we got Joshimot, in 2021, there was a major landslide in Joshimot, and as a result what happens, there is a normal flow of the river was blocked and landslide lake was formed. And we got SOS from NRSC, so NRSC need the satellite imagery, and we captured the imagery and we have supplied them, and it is NRSC used it and it is available in the NRSC website as well. So that's the kind of efficient delivery, efficient capture is very much requirement at this point of time. Let me tell you the story here. Actual imagery. Incident happened on 7th February 2021, and this is the imagery captured by Planet Labs at morning around 10:30. And we got, you can see in the upper level there is you can see this water vapor debris are visible here, and we got the next imagery just after 28 minutes. And we can see this the water level and water vapor debris are coming down through river. So thing is that I want to convey this message that you are getting the imagery not after the disaster, you are getting the imagery while the disaster is happening. So that's the kind of efficient capture, that's the kind of efficient daily imaging is very much the requirement at this point of time. Coming to other things, multiple, not only the daily, requirement is also sub-daily. So moment we got this SOS from ISRO, so we have multiple satellites here. Planet Labs put multiple satellites over there to capture the whole area. You can see satellite travels multiple times on that particular zone, and it has captured the whole area on that particular, on 9th February. So that's the way. If we see the higher resolution imagery, so in the 3-meter resolution imagery, we are getting the complete overview of the things, and this is the higher resolution imagery. We can clearly, this landslide lake is visible, that is the normal flow of the river has been blocked. And in the same day, 10th February, we have other images also in the afternoon, and that is another, from another direction it is showing, it is lake looks like that, and that's the way it is. So 3-meter is the daily, as well as the higher resolution sub-daily basis. So that is the kind of frequency or cadence is the requirement of the industry today. So it is not that using this imagery, this IIT Roorkee and Aligarh Muslim University, they published a paper. So this is a joint publication, and they used this imagery for this publication also. Coming to another use case, that's the flood. This University of Queensland and one university in Jerusalem, so what they did, so they used a specific algorithm, and their algorithm requirement is that they need the imagery before flood, peak flood and after flood to analyze the flood. But getting the imagery, satellite image during the flood situation is very, very difficult because of the cloud. But as this imagery is daily, so more chances are there to get the cloud-free imagery, because cloud may be there today, may not be tomorrow, or maybe there morning, may not be in the afternoon. So they use this pre-flood, post-flood and peak flood imagery and analyze the data. Again, this is a published work here. And it is not that only that daily imagery or sub-daily imagery is required only for disaster. It can be used in other ways also. This is agriculture application. And we can see specifically that particular organization as the Marine Agriculture Services. So they used this imagery, daily imagery, and they found that particularly in 14th July, that particular infection or infestation has been observed, but it was overlooked. As a result, what happens? The infestation has been increased, and that particular organization lost a good amount of money because of this overlook. So which particular date something has happened? So what are the things can be done? So everything can be captured, everything can be analyzed, so that right solution in the right time can be done. I was telling about the more band means more analytical capacity. It is, yes, it is very much important. So here you can see that the European Space Agency Sentinel imagery, there is one of the very stable radiometry or very stable satellite image which is used everywhere. So Sentinel imagery have the specific wavelength, and these planets scope or planet also following the Sentinel wavelength only, and offering the 8-band imagery. 8 normally, conventionally, all imagery have the 4-band, red, green, blue, near infrared, or sometimes blue is not there, sometimes red, green, and near infrared. But here we are offering, planet is offering 8 bands, so that more analytical capacities are there. How it is effective, how it will help you. So here there is a question: can satellite imagery cure the allergy? So definitely not directly, but yes, indirectly it is. So again, there is a published work by Forest Research Institute, Croatia, and another University of Zagreb in Croatia. So they did a very good job. They used satellite imagery to analyze where the allergenic trees are there, tree species are there. As the imagery is higher resolution, very specifically they identified the allergenic species, and they identified which area are allergic tendency will be higher. So they have used this imagery. They have used particularly the green 2 band. Here I am telling why these multiple bands are required. They have used the green 2 band, which is normally not available in the other satellite imagery. The green 2 band is there used. They have used the yellow band, and they have used the near infrared band as well. So that's the way so can be used to identify the source of the allergy, and accordingly the smart city planning can be done so that the infection free or that kind of situation can be avoided. So that is also part of city planning department, and this work has been carried out by Forest Research Institute, Croatia. Another thing is that it has the red edge band as well as the yellow band. So red edge band, yellow band, red edge band specifically, various uses are there in the agriculture, so that is known, so I am not going into that. This particular paper is focused to identify the soil salinity mapping, and they have identified that the red edge band and yellow band have more effective, they are more effective on the for soil salinity observation. So they have used it, and they successfully made it. So that's the way multiple band or multiple, the spectral resolution, in the term of remote sensing, there's a spectral resolutions. More spectral resolution means more analytical capacity. Now coming to the displacement or disaster management. So definitely displacement, you can see this is the satellite imagery of Turkey earthquake, how the displacement happens, we can see here. And I have marked 2 areas in the red borders just to show you that this is 2 different data images. This is not a single imagery. Okay, and you can see that's the way this displacement happened. Now displacement, why it is done, just previous last session I was attending regarding the disaster management session, and here the prediction of the disaster or prediction of the displacement is one of the major things that can be done using the satellite imagery. Normally it is done through interferometric SAR, but here University of Rome, they have taken an approach to identify the displacement using optical imagery. And they have multiple imagery, because for any displacement using the SAR data or using the optical data, a lot of historical data are required. So as this particular planet imagery had the deep stack of historical data, so that they have used, and they have identified the displacement or deformation of the land, so that the landslide or that kind of situation can be avoided and can be predicted. So that's the way we can use the satellite imagery as well. For again, definitely for smart governance. So this is another use case. Obviously, I think we all know the situation. We all know this. I don't know. This my video is not running, but actually this this is the one balloon. Chinese balloon was observed in U.S. territory, and it was a big conflict, and it was a big news in the all newspaper. And thing is that how China never acknowledged. However, US was very sure it is Chinese balloon. How? Again, this is imagery. We are capturing the whole Earth's surface on daily basis. And one company, Synthetic, there's an AI/ML based company. What they did, they just used the signature, created the signature for the balloon, and searched the all imagery across the globe, across the month, and they found the balloon over the satellite imagery. And that is also possible because of the tele imaging. And this is the only imagery which have the balloon picture or capture the picture of the balloon also. So this is only possible because of the daily imagery. And if I go back, we can see, and in the clear-cut way, they have identified the location, origin of the balloon, that is the Hainan, and the way it is traveled through Pacific Ocean and how it is entered to Alaska and how traveled the USA. Complete path has been identified properly because of the AI/ML technology. So that is using satellite imagery. So Planet provided the satellite imagery. Synthetic is the company who developed the algorithms for the identification of the images. So that is the balloon. So that's the way for smart governance the satellite imagery can be used. So definitely there is no end. And definitely for any technology, no technology is completely flawless. Technology is not possible. Everywhere there is some limitations are there. So many problems will be there, but still we have to go ahead. Yes, I would like to conclude with this quote of the father of Indian space, that is, he who can listen the music in the midst of noise can achieve the great things. So drawbacks will be there, limitation will be there, till we have to go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions? Any? Please. So, if there is no question, so probably everybody is very much understand the applications. Just I need one clarification, or I can say the questions. This multi data delivery, your basic strength, multiple time in the day or like that. So how do we understand that data is exactly that timeline is maintained? So how we verify in terms of governance point of view? So governance need every aspect of the decision, there's some validation, source of decisions. So how can we convince to our competent authority if this timeline is based on satellite, but there is a accurate? So how we can convince to that?
So satellite image, our satellite, as you know, sir, that is. We have more than 200 satellites, and which is encapsulated more or less whole Earth surface, and we are capturing the Earth surface on daily basis. But approximately in the local time, by around 10:30, by 11, we capture the imagery using our daily imaging constellation. So, and whatever the time it is captured, all things are captured and stored as a metadata in the satellite image. So when we'll explore the satellite imagery, if we open, even in the in our portal, that metadata will be visible. So what is the time of capture? What is the resolution? What is the cloud percentage and everything? All metadata will be there, sir. And so that is all that is.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So now I request to Dr. Jayanthi. So he has a lot of experience in a way related to space technology. So recently you elaborate your experience in governance aspect, how can facilitate to decision makers, particularly enforcement way. Decision is one of thing, but how to implement that decision, that is a more important. So please.
Very good afternoon, distinguished panelists and my delegates. Very good afternoon to all of you. I come from ISRO, specifically National Remote Sensing Center, where we make use of Earth observation data or remote sensing data in civil parlance, and for the benefit of various applications, thematic applications. And I basically specialize in urban applications. That is why I am here today, and I feel privileged to be among all of you and talking to you. Rather than going on to the technical front, I take it as a networking opportunity and to make the technical jargon simple. I put it that way because some of you could be familiar, some of you could be coming from the business front. So I don't want to bother you much about the technicalities part of it. So this in a way is the point. Now coming down to what I wanted to basically coming down to basically what I wanted to tell you about is there is right from where we heard chairman in the morning talking about the utility of space technology for the benefit of the common man. That is the starting point what Dr. Vikram Sarabhai told. So that is what he reiterated in the morning. So from that pursuit to the technical excellence is the way forward that we have been traveling. But nonetheless, still till date, we are still pursuing the thread or base point as how do we make the technology reach the common man so that we do have our umbilical cord intact with the common man's needs. This is what the governance applications, majority of them, they are proven case are need of the hour in the art science. And Chairman sir, you have listed quite a few programs when you spoke about Government of India's initiatives or respect to states initiatives, which speak and make use of various governance satellite applications in terms of governance. So whether it is Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, like what you told in the urban community, or you talk about Manrega. There are a number of programs wherein the satellite remote sensing and GIS technologies have got a specific role to play. Now, I slightly touch upon a different facet of that one, and I go into another domain. Like we all know about the satellites, what they have been doing at various resolutions for the benefit of urban governance, etc. This is good. Property taxation is one in terms of if you look at it, or in terms of strategic applications are also there in urban areas. They are there. In terms of this thing, what you call marketing related connectivity applications, quite a few are there. There are a number of things, illegal constructions, monitoring. The list is quite elaborate, and it depends on need of the man rather than anything else. So it's not an end-to-end list that one can chronicle at any given point of time. So what I am trying to right now pitch forward is, for the benefit of all of us, is what are the areas in where we need a connectivity. That is, the satellite data as a starting point, where we can contribute is one thing. Then how we move forward with the help of the ICT technologies, various connectivity technologies that are in place, and who are the stakeholders, how we can connect it, and what are the other things which will improve the system, total ecosystem. This is what we need to be aware of. So, if you look at the satellite data per se, if you look at the regional perspective, we go at a very macro scale and we go at a very coarse resolution satellites to up to the ones what our friend Partha has demonstrated, like Planet Earth, Digital Globe series, World View series, all those things where sub-meter or even the drones which give us up to 5 centimeters, 3 centimeters kind of resolutions. So right from a settlement or a town in a snapshot to a building and its let us say its lift headroom or its AC outdoor unit as a footprint, we have a plethora of resolutions with which we can have the data footprint. Here again, like what Sultan sir was asking about the time stamping. Yes, time stamping is definitely there. It's a very objective, it's a tested one. On board every satellite, there is going to be an atomic clock which is configured. So time stamping is again translatable into the common local time scales. So they are proven technologies. So for governance applications, it can be proved to any legal system or any validation system that yes, it is enabled. So in terms of satellite resolutions, in terms of the coverage like either optical or even microwave series of satellites are also coming in. So this is one thing. So in terms of urban planning applications, we have a whole set of satellites which come from various resolutions. In terms of meteorological applications like air quality, what Dharmendra sir was highlighting about the urban heat elements, etc., or the air quality related issues, there are a host of satellites with which we are trying to do some kind of this thing. We can start right from the macro level again. The satellites can give us at the global climatic model level, we get information. Up to the regional climatic model, we get satellites. Below that one, we have got balloon systems as well as the UAV series, aircraft series, which gives us the regional climatic model to the canopy level heights. Below which, today we depend on various in situ observations, IoT enabled in situ observation capabilities, where we get various sensors which will give us information on the climate parameters. All these things are integratable. Only thing is the operational readiness of these systems and vertical integration from the local climate, that means at the building level to the microclimate level and microclimate level to the regional climate level. These kind of things are not yet in totally operational level. They have to be city specific. Because every city has got its own unique characteristic in terms of its urban spread. The type of buildings that they have, the materials with which they are constructed, the kind of compactness or disbursement they have, everything changes from building to building or city to city, everything changes. So these kind of things, they have to be city specific models have to be. There is a lot of science work that is going on in the meteorology domain in this particular aspect. So probably it takes time, but on the temperature front, there is a lot of already established models are in place. They are also getting fine-tuned by the day. So this is in terms of this thing. In terms of either when we come down to the water domain, in terms of water pollution, etc., or water availability conservation, again at the meso level and the macro level, regional fronts, we have a lot of good data. The physical parameters of the water quality are already establishable from the satellite information. In terms of the micro level, also we can get the chlorophyll content, the turbidity, the ocean, the water depth information up to say 20 meters, 30 meters kind of things are practically established in terms of water quality. The chemical parameters need some kind of validation. These are all again coming up at every level. So in urban areas, as the cities are growing, the water is going to be a very big issue out there. So the areas, whatever the gap areas that I am trying to list here, are all open areas which can be pursued by not only by the institutions like the NRSC, ISRO, or any even geospatial industries, anybody, any science organizations can also take up these kind of challenges. So in terms of that, this thing, that is one area. So similarly, when we come down to traffic and transportation management, unlike in the advanced countries where already it is all very clearly established, in India we have got the traffic management system which is controlled not from the satellite system but from the IoT system based with AI integration. It is already done at that level. We are also trying to improve it by the day, try to set up some kind of IDS systems to the extent possible. So these are some of the gray areas or some of the thoughts that which I can come across. The major points or issues that I see for future kind of a thing is how do we finance the kind of basic research or the essential infrastructure which is required for urban governance at each and every level. That is going to be a gray area for us. We need to somehow take some kind of a picture at policy level, some kind of a thing that is very much essential. Then second thing is, in terms of awareness, the I am not talking about the illiteracy, I am talking about e-awareness. So e-governance or any smart governance is all integrated everything to the citizen-centric approach. So citizen should be empowered with all the data, citizens should be enabled to question, citizens should understand. These are the things that we need to so the kind of capacity building that need to happen, make him aware about what are today not many people know, even in cities also probably we may not know all the facilities that are available to us on the e-governance platforms. So there are many things that are available. We ourselves may not know. So how do we make the common man enable the common man to get into that kind of a this thing is one of the areas that one needs to take cognizance of. So these are some of the basic things I thought that I should touch upon. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Any deliberation questions to elaborate? I think there is no any questions. Just I need to I understand some elaboration. NRSC do lot of things related to high resolution urban mapping under the Amrit and all that. So that next stage is how can temporal updation is happen on those Amrit area of the governance. So that is a upcoming requirement to I think all the governance stakeholders. With this we prepared a standard metadata structure, format, legends, everything is there. So now is required particular not like yearly, at least 6 months or 3 months, any mechanism is happened in coming time. Because now is a lot of technology is available in different stakeholders. Not only exactly satellite, many other technology is there. So just we need to understand any plan of that way.
Sir, thank you, Dr. Sultan. The point I just wanted to elaborate on this. As Dr. Sultan Singh pointed out, NRSC ISRO has helped the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in the Atal Mission for Urban Rejuvenation and Transformation Amrit project. So wherein we have painstakingly created geospatial database for 500 Amrit cities at 1:4,000 scale. That means every individual building can be seen in its entirety as a footprint. So there is a two-dimensional database which is created, which is queryable, which is there kept on Google also. Okay. Now the point is, Dr. Sultan Singh's question is, it's a one-time effort. How are you going to update it? And perhaps it is good for the time of the data when the satellite has acquired it. Now what about now? Today is 2023. Yes, sir. We have updated it as of 2020 also, 2021 also, based on when the field work was collected. Subsequently, the kind of updation that needs to take place as part of the project, it is not there, but in terms of our own in-house research efforts, etc., we are trying to get the building footprints kind of things. We are trying to get fine-tune our algorithms and come out. Globally, there are about 5 to 7 different organizations who have worked quite a bit and released it into Maxa, kind of people have released into the public also. But they are not at foolproof. But can we replicate it at level, and whether we can give it or not, that we are looking at it. But many academic institutions are already in the fray. We are also looking through various programs called Respond and other things. How do we update, whether with the help of satellite data, whether with the help of UAV or something like that, whether we can update, that we are looking at in terms of building footprints. There are, the research can go on not only for building footprints, but also for transportation infrastructure therein. It can also be updated. So that itself is a research topic for the industry. There are quite a few promising startups which have taken up this challenge upon themselves to work in this particular direction. So we are also working parallelly, but we don't know who will crack it first.
Is it not being done by the project implementing agencies by geotagged information on the same website?
Sir, actually, when the project implementing urban local bodies are going back into the field, they will update us on that date. That's why it's told, sir. Actually, when we initiated the project, we acquired this satellite data in 2017, 18, 19, 3 different years. But the field work, by the time we could complete whatever we could extract from the satellite data, and we have generated the satellite data maps to the urban local bodies for collection of the field and attribute information, and they have updated this particular information. It was 2021. They have updated some buildings as of 2021, and those buildings we have transferred back into the satellite, into the geospatial database. But post 21 till 23, now we have again traveled 1.5 years. There is no money for any urban local body to do any field work further beyond the project.
Is it not part of the Amrut funding for?
No, Amrut gave a one-time funding. The objective of Amrut project was to, the basic objective was to improve the overall living in the 500 cities. They wanted to have master plans. Only 20% of Indian cities had master plans. India has about 8,000 cities, less than 2,000 have master plans. And not even 2,000, less than even about 1,800 or 1,700 master plans. So how do we make it? So they have taken pilot, the first level, they have taken class 1 cities, that is greater than 1 lakh population. They have chosen 500 of them. That also they gave a leverage to the states to choose your cities. So they said that you come out with your cities, we will do it. So within whatever city that the state has suggested, those cities have been taken up as part of the project. And it was a 100% Mahua funded project for the execution of the master plan. So they have utilized that money to that extent. That is what has happened.
The idea was very, because I was part of that
Yes,
foundation of Bombay.
Yes.
So the idea was very clear that instead of having overgrown villages into urban areas, we should have a planned growth of a village into an urban area. That was how it was 500 cities were studied. And that is how it was to be, a master plan was to be prepared. And so that they grow into a planned urban area. So that overgrown villages.
Yes, sir. Even phase 2 of the Amrut again envisages tier 2 cities and the peri-urban areas of them. That is 50,000 population to 1 lakh population. Those cities are picked up, another 670 cities or something like that. They have been picked up and they have been pitched in. So again, it is in project stage. We have to wait for the clearances. Thank you. Thank you.
So thanks. But in Mahua, as we understand, as a different side of that, because being an end user of the technical side, the town and country planning department, they are since 75 years, they are plan only town. They are not plan any country part. So that's a challenge to us, the peri-urban area planning limitations. So that's why my concern is that if it is some change detection mechanism, monitoring auto recognition is there. So otherwise the master plan is developed, control area is declared. They propose this RJON, this institutional transport zone, but due course of time, every area is converted in a cluster. So there is no any enforcement part. So if it is a regular monitoring system is there, so somehow this gap in that as a original planning level at the TCPO level, as I understand it is. Thank you. Thank you. So now I request to Professor Dr. Purvi Pokhariyal, Director NFSU, MHA. Please.
Speak while standing, so it's a professional hazard. Sorry. Honorable Chair and all the distinguished panelists, I'm not from the technical field, I'm from the National Forensic Sciences University, Ministry of Home Affairs. So I'm just throwing some points to ponder upon when we talk about the satellite applications for the smart governance. Well, I feel that we all live in this Anthropocene world, and this world is post-pandemic world is we've traveled from VUCA to VUCA 2.0. So VUCA 2.0 world, how I look at it, is a very vibrant, unreal, crazy and astounding world. And for this world, for all our solutions, what we need is vision, understanding, creativity and adaptability. And probably the whole discourse in this two-day Congress is all about reimagining whole initiative for the smart governance. Now, how do we look at smart governance? Dr. Jayanthi has really rightly pointed out there is no standard definition, but smart is something which is which anticipates the future, which integrates multiple tasks, and basically who offers some kind of sustainable solutions. So in these regard, how I look at it, this gathering that we all gathered over here is for the conference for different ideas, and how do we reintegrate our different technologies and I would say redefine our processes and strategies so that we can reimagine the future. For all these daily problems, when I talk about, since I come from the Forensic Sciences University, we have seen that forensics of lately have seen that how the forensics is now being looked at and has a penetration for providing speedy and objective and fair justice delivery process. So likewise, these satellite applications, and I'm linking it with the justice delivery system that can we think of, because nowadays pandemic has asked us, has compelled us to look at the virtual hearings and the virtual proceedings. Can we think of using this satellite technology in those remote areas and those far-flung areas? Using this satellite technology, we can open the virtual courts and the and how do we take this whole thought forward, and how do we redefine our processes through that through these satellite applications? We can introduce the virtual courts and the virtual court proceedings for some of these rural areas, because these World Justice Project says that there are 5.2 billion people on this earth who has an unmet justice needs, including India. So how do we, this is something we have been, we have seen that these satellite applications is in transportation, wildlife conservation, forest conservation, traffic. There are plethora of areas where we already have been deploying this thing and we have seen better results. But when one of the important aspects of the governance is also the basic things, and basic things is all about justice and is all about giving the fair due in terms of the educations. And so even for the education, we have seen the satellite applications has been resulted into great. I mean, we have seen some of those rural part of India wherein through the satellite, how the education initiatives has taken forward, and how can we minimize this digital divide between there are two Indias? So how can we minimize this divide of this? So these are some of these ideas which we would like to throw before this August audience, because who have we all are from different fields, and we need to integrate some of these thoughts to reimagine the future, so that we can revitalize our growth, socio-economic growth in these things. The other aspect, what I always feel that when we have had interactions with the ISRO in Ahmedabad, in Gujarat, we get to know that there is a constant data flow. We get a lot of satellite imagery, but then how do we use it? Because we live in the era of data exclusivity. As Dr. Jayanthi has rightly pointed out, how do we democratize this data for the greater good? And how do we talk about a data inclusivity? And this is something, sharing of the data and creating some kind of platform. So, the confluence of ideas, some space we need to create wherein we get into some kind of deliberations and discourse using this data from different fields. How do we come out with the different solutions of smart governance in different areas? So, and specifically when we talk about this reimagining process, Mr. Ghosh has talked about Albert Einstein, and I remember that when he said the imagination is much more important than the knowledge. So somewhere one is using the existing technology, but then we need people who would have only into the business of imaginations, because that's what we have. I mean, when it comes to the satellites, up till recently, it has always been in the purview of the superpowers, and it was also the subject matter of only the fictional movies. But now we need to use those imaginations into actions, and probably this kind of an initiative is the right kind of platform. And I'm looking forward those ideas wherein we can use these satellite applications for the greater justice needs of the people of this country. Thank you.
Thank you. They really required is a virtual capacity building to understand the use of this entire applications. So ISRO is a long way. They are working in different shows and different access of the state centers and many other education institutes. Always they are ready to extend that network. Now I request Ms. Niharikka, Associate Director, PwC. Please.
Good evening, Chair, the panelists and delegates present here. I'd like to draw your attention to three categories of space applications where satellites have to play a role. The first one is Earth observation, about which Mr. Ghosh enlightened us. NRSC is a pioneer in this area and has a great role to play here for the country in this sector. The other one is navigation, which we are all to some extent familiar, given we use GPS-based services. But again, we have our own Navic constellation for navigation, which is serving the defense right now, but we expect it to come into the civil sector also in some time moving forward. The third one is communication, where satellite-based communication services can help bridging the gap, the digital divide that ma'am mentioned, wherein 25% of our population is still not connected to the internet or communication services. And Chairman Sir would be very much affected by that, because Arunachal is one state, because of its difficult terrain, putting optical fibers, connecting it through terrestrial networks is a difficulty. I'll now go on specifically to the governance side. Now, for all these three application areas, there are broadly three stakeholders as we see. There is the state governments who have been given the mandate to develop these smart cities. There is the central government who's into monitoring the development of smart cities, and then there is the private industry who has been enforced with and also sees a huge market potential with solutions that can help in actually making these cities smart. The prime importance here is that, Ma'am also pointed out to that we have a huge database that NRSC maintains. We have the private players like Planet Lab who have constellations, their digital globe. There are Indian entities who are also putting EO-based constellations. But the most important part here is that there has to be a single platform, like Ma'am mentioned, which has to be there, wherein the private sector can access these platforms and develop solutions which can be taken to the government stakeholders at state level as well as at the national level. Now, at the state level, these solutions can range from something that Mr. Ghosh displayed to us, which could be from site surveying, pipeline monitoring, to environmental impact assessment. These would be for laying out the plan for the infrastructure development of these smart cities. From the central government side, there could be solutions where they can use these EO-based maps and services to assess what is the impact of environment on the infrastructure. Joshimath has been an example where environment impact was assessed through satellite imagery. Coming to navigation again, IoT-based sensors, geotagged imagery, as Sir mentioned, has been used for the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. And I was part of the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana when it was in its implementation stage. Now it's been widely implemented. And the shift from regular photographs that were uploaded on the website by the targeted population, as against geotagged photograph, made the governance process much more authentic. So the introduction of geo-based services and geotagging of photographs made sure that the benefits reached to the right, the target audience to whom the money had to be directed. So GNS has had a big impact there. We also see property tax applications that Sir talked about, where geo-based tagging and services have been very important. Now, what also is important is that there is a scope for using EO-based services along with navigation, fusion of these services. Now, solutions around there have a wide application for future. It's something wherein there is a lot of application in future, which is something that our private sector has to imagine. We also touched upon, with the help of Mr. Ghosh, the use of satellite imagery fused with drone-based imagery, also fused with the imagery that is captured through balloons that China was using for a defense recce or so. But these kind of fusion-based solutions can also offer a macro as well as a micro view of an area, and accordingly provide more in-depth understanding of solutions that are developed to the user. So to conclude, I would just say a platform, the private sector enablement to come forward is something that is very important to develop space applications. The key beneficiary here would be the governments. So the government has to understand that there is a huge return in terms of the socio-economic benefits which is involved in case of space applications are used. Giving an example of the Copernicus program, which is run by EU, an independent estimate by PwC sees that there is 1.4 times to 2.2 times effect on the GDP of the EU countries which have used space-based applications. Now this effect has come in just not because of efficiencies, increase in productivity, cost savings, but also because of the jobs that were created. And we, being IT powerhouse, have the required capabilities to extract and use the maximum of the data that NRSC has, the work that Planet M is doing and other private entities are doing, and use that for the socio-economic benefit of the population of this country. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a very enlightening to all different exposure of the different stakeholders. just the time will coming in due course of time as we understand. So being a just I need to elaborate this small thing related to Haryana. Today morning our Honorable Governor probably addressed related to space technology applications related to Haryana. So Haryana is doing a lot of things, but I can say it's a beginning. So we need to explore it further. Many things is there. We working in a complete state is in a temporal daily basis change detections. So each and every inch of the land we are monitoring every day, because we are the very small state. Just is of course is 45,000 square kilometers. So for us is easy to manage the thing. For Itanagar it is probably tough task doing a topography. So it may be 3 months. And on account of that, each and every event of activities happen on the space, in the surface, that we are deliberating with our all stakeholders and across the state. Almost 32 governance departments generally every state. Maybe some state is a 30 or maybe 29, approximately. Our state is a 32 department. So everybody is using that. Now the thing is requirement, platform as a service is a requirement. Government is not buy the anything, data and many things. They don't have this such type of expertise. So for that, government is, if it is we required something, almost 90% time is sourcing of the servicing. We invest our times, tender process, procurement, everything. That by the time myself is transferred, no one knows what delivery is required. And then the service providers again don't know what delivery is given to. So now is a requirement platform as a service, software as a service, spatial or non-spatial data as a service, application development as a service. That is a basically upcoming time as we understand in our area. So we are open up for the all stakeholders who are keen to the system. So we don't want to invest any OPEX and any CAPEX. Just we need to, who have the expertise, give the our requirement, data delivery, you take photo credit. No need to submit any invoice. So this is our thought. We are to some extent, due course of time, we are the part of that. Many other things, we are monitoring crop each and every acre of the land, right from sowing to till harvesting. On the basis of that, Haryana is procuring entire MS products. On the top of that, we identify damage assessment, crop stress, many other things. So that's why government, only those exercises of where is the ROI is come with the government decisions. If it is there is a no any ROI, so government is not keen to that. Definitely some Government of India scheme is there, we opt it, we follow it. But due course of time that either that scheme is a rename or in any other format, otherwise thing is as usual. So that is a basic government is too much advanced in compared to industry. That you need to understand. Right now industries think about the government, they don't know about the technology, they don't know use of this technology. So everybody is come with a very fantastic presentation. They explain to NRSC, they explain to all the stakeholders. But the end of the day, out of 100 is only 1% is a success. So 99 is always is non-air. So this is our experience related to governance. So government is again open to all stakeholders. We are ready to offer any flexibility of the services. So now I request to sir, they understand very much in our basic thought. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Sultan sir. All the speakers the entire panel is unanimous that the temporal data is required, timely analysis of temporal data is required, and dissemination of analysis has to be done to make good use of that information. So this is something which is absolutely essential. And for each state to develop that capability and technical wherewithal to have analysis done, I think it will be multiplying the effort many times. It would be better that if an organization like ISRO or NRSA can have a system whereby the temporal data of all the states is analyzed and the outcomes and the findings by some application is disseminated, maybe through the use of AI or machine learning, so that the decision is taken faster, decision is communicated faster, and whatever remedial or actions to be taken by the state government or by the district authorities or by whosoever the agency may be is taken very fast. So, and another aspect of space technology is that it has always been regarded as a dual-use technology. So there's always a gingerly attitude to pass on the information, to pass on the data. I remember days when we used to write to NRSA, to ISRO, to get a basic map which is now available on Google, and much better available now. So this mindset also has to change, and I think some central agency like ISRO again or Space Department has to invest in developing the applications which may be restricted for the use of, let us say, state government if the data is so strategically important or sensitive. Then these can be then given to the state government so that they have a timely data analysis done, timely outcome of that situation available with them, so that the data can be used for developmental purposes or for disaster management or hazard purposes. And the digital divide, of course, will remain so long as infrastructure divide remains. Digital divide will remain. And with regard to sharing of data, my views are just told that it has to be shared, because there is no point by ISRO or NRSA to keep collecting data and not sharing it with anyone. If they have to charge something from the state governments or the district, they should charge, but do share the data so that that is put to good use. And there has to be complete sync between the state governments and the central government and remote sensing agencies. Though we have, all states have their state remote sensing satellite application centers, but the sad part is that again depend from the common source for data. That is NRSA or ISRO. So they are there for the main sake, but ultimately if I ask them to develop an application, let us say for have a GIS map prepared for a particular type of a soil, a particular type of a topography or a particular crop, or let us say for opium cultivation, they'll again go back to you and ask for the data. So there has to be some mechanism by which the data retrieval, at least by your agencies or the state agencies, is automatic, and it is done at least free of cost and quickly. You can respond, of course. So these are, and there is a need to redefine processes and smartness to, because I was part of the smart city program was being formulated. So there are many ways in which you can define what smartness is, what would constitute a smartness in a city. But in the context of India, what would constitute smartness in an urban area where the basic services are also not up to the mark, again is a debatable point. But yes, of course, you can live with that right solution at the right time. That's okay. But there is a lot of work which needs to be done with regard to the overlay of smartness which can be put on the existing infrastructure itself to make the services of delivery even more efficient and timely. Thank you.
So thank you. I just thought I should respond to one or two points. Yes. For the benefit of everyone in this room, in this gathering, I just thought one or two points regarding the data sharing kind of thing. First of all, there is a new geospatial data policy which is recently promulgated and come into effect. As per this data policy, any data which is greater than what a meter in Corson can be made available, is open to everyone. As part of this, ISRO and within that one NRSC, we have moved the focus for sharing the data gratis. It is under some set of approaches are already taken, some set of approaches are in progress. So anytime we are expecting that to be free. So as and when it comes into effect, other data which is coarser than meter, it will become free. This much is, I think, is for sure. Now coming down to the other part, the value-added information, like whatever has been generated from the satellite data in terms of converted into a map form. This actually, historically, this has been the property of the end user for whom the map has been created or the database has been generated. Now, with the, again, taking cue from the geospatial data policy, the Government of India said that this has to be made available. So as part of that one, majority of the data is already put under the home. It's already there under the thematic applications domain, it will be there. It is still, whatever it is, even the recent data of Amrut also is made available on the. So everything is coming forward for the end users, whosoever it is there. It will still improve. The system will improve. Already the Bhuvan, what perhaps many of you are accustomed to see, and in terms of being a rustic and other things, we are trying to improve it by the day. It will improve still. Thank you.
Thanks. Anything you want to say? Thank you. So I thanks to organizers. I think we maintained our timelines. So 3:50 is our timeline. I think. So we finished a 2 minute earlier. Any questions? Any deliberations? Yeah, everybody is ready to maintain the timeline.
Thank you so much, sir. I thank all our speakers for their time and for taking us through the deliberations about the smart governance around satellites. And thank you so much, Sultan, sir, for moderating the session. I would also like to thank all our audience here for the attention and for being here with us. Now we have half an hour break for tea, after which we reconvene at the main hall where we had the first inaugural session. There we'll have the next session, which is on improving agricultural yield and farmer incomes. So you are all now free for the break, and we'll reconvene at 4:20 is when we start our next session. Thank you.